and just make sure that the whole property looks welcoming, like you just want to sit down, put your feet up, and relax.
Yes, we can't tell you how many homes we've walked up into, and the front porch is covered with leaves.
Tricycles
The
out.
lawn hasn't been done. There's some tires in the back. So those are the things you really want to think
Right.
about, keeping your property in that kind of condition.
Couple cars up on blocks, things like that, right? Yeah, right. Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. As always, it's really great to see you. We're here again at the Home Estate Realty Group headquarters in downtown Leesburg. And my gosh, what a week it's turned out to be, as we've kind of been forecasting and watching firsthand. Inventory is rising quickly.
Yes, every day. Now, whether you're thinking of selling your home or you're just thinking of keeping it in really good condition, we put together a little list. It has 6 things. You could either choose a professional or you could try a little do-it-yourself project.
The DIY.
That's right.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before, and you know what? You never get a second opportunity to make a first impression. So we'll talk about curb appeal first. As the buyer comes up to the property, it's got to look pulled together, right? We've talked about the hedges out front, sweeping the sidewalk, making sure the driveway is nice and clear, preferably without any cars at all in it.
Right. That's
but
right.
Certainly the things like the touch up on the outside painting, the cobwebs, the giant hornet's net, the hornet nest up there in the corner, those really do need to be removed. And as you leave to get prepared for the buyers to come through, not a bad idea to turn the front lights on and make the place really glow.
And don't forget my favorite, which is mulching.
Yeah, the mulching.
I have a personal bond with mulching, as I remember putting a house up for sale and mulching the entire property myself.
Yeah. And flowers out front,
Yes,
to go along with that mulch is always a good idea. I've always loved the 2 pots,
over the door,
on the side, on the threshold, I think they call it, as you come into the house. So make sure that the exterior of the house, we've talked about walking around the back. The deck certainly needs to be clear, maybe a couple pieces of well-placed furniture on the deck, but not too busy about back there. And just make sure that the whole property looks welcoming, like you just want to sit down, put your feet up, and relax.
Yes, we can't tell you how many homes we've walked up into, and the front porch is covered with leaves.
Tricycles out.
The lawn hasn't been done. There's some tires in the back. So those are the things you really want to think about, keeping your property in that kind of condition.
Couple cars up on blocks, things like that, right? Yeah, right.
Okay, the second suggestion we have is light fixtures. Now, it sounds really cheesy and small, but this really makes a huge impact, especially if you've been living in your home 20 years, 30 years, and you still have the original light fixtures.
How outdated can those light fixtures look?
So the first thing we'd suggest that if you can, do it piece by piece, change one at a time and find something that's trending, more modern, something that fits your style, but still can suit a lot of different people. And that's what we'd always love giving suggestions. So if you ever need a suggestion, let us know whether you want to go with trendy or something more classic. But definitely light fixtures at the entrance, the front door, number 1. Think about the kitchen, think about the dining rooms. Those are the 3 main areas that you really want to change those out. And along with light fixtures, I would like to say the electrical plate covers.
Oh, yes.
People don't realize by changing those out for something bright, what a huge difference it makes.
Yeah, how about the wooden ones that we used to have all over the house? And of course, it's kind of funny you mentioned that, but you come into the front foyer, and many times you have the old gigantic brass fixture above your head. For the most part, maybe that is not so expensive, but the most part, light fixtures are fairly inexpensive to purchase. And they really do make such a great impression as you come through the house to just kind of get, your spirit uplifted, get plenty of light in there, but also to show that you understand the more modern details of what buyers are looking for, right? And along those lines, interior paint colors, my gosh, over the years, we've gone from the deep blues to the deep greens to the deep reds. Everybody had to have them. probably our suggestion, as always, has been more of a neutralized color scheme throughout the house. As you go from room to room, you don't want it to be kind of like an artist's blotcher where you're seeing all these various colors. They may or may not match. Probably just a uniform neutral color is the best. And I know I'm sounding like I'm quite the decorator. In truth, it's kind of like art. You don't know what you like until you see it. And uniformity throughout, certainly in the main level of the house, is so important.
That's very true. The next tip, project you can think about is in the kitchen. It could be as simple as a backsplash that's updating your kitchen. It could be new appliances. Stainless steel appliances are in demand. It could be a new countertop. It could be, again, the light fixtures, new furniture. All those little things in the kitchen go a really long way. And the more you can declutter with storage, the better.
Yeah.
But definitely, spend some money in your kitchen for sure. You'll get that back.
Yeah, the kitchen, it's so funny because I admittedly am not the chef, right? I spend very little time in the kitchen other than primarily at the refrigerator and the microwave. But for the most part, when you walk into a house these days, many buyers will automatically go to the kitchen just to see what's been done. And it's not as though you have to spend a fortune. It's unbelievable the cost, certainly of just replacing the Formica, countertops with granite. It's not all that expensive, but there's so many other ways. We were mentioning just a couple weeks ago at one of the open houses, and you pointed out that just the knobs on the cabinetry had been changed. And what a big difference from 20 years ago it was to just have kind of updated cabinet knobs versus the old, the big clunky style that were on there before.
Yep, because people think automatically you have to paint all your cabinets, but if they're in good condition, maybe just changing out the fixtures will make them pop again.
Yeah, and for number 5, we talk a lot about, bathroom remodeling throughout some of our videos, and the houses that we've taken from kind of like the 20-year-old design and house. We did one last year down in Dominion Country Club, and it turned out magnificently. I mean, the floors were redone, cabinetry was done, etc. But the bathrooms are another point, especially the primary bath, the master bath is one where people focus a lot of attention. But not to be left out, the main level bathrooms, the powder rooms that are there, if you have a full bath on the main level, that's probably where you also want to show some attention, because that's the first impression as people walk in, they come out of the foyer. The first thing they're going to see is one of the bathrooms there. Make sure that, and again, it doesn't have to be over the top, but the little things, the nice light fixture, some of the towel fixtures, and so forth, really are important. It's amazing how inexpensive it is to replace that 20, 30-year-old cabinet with the countertop that's in those bathrooms. It's not that big. And then last but not least, and I saw one in a beautiful house that we saw on tour today, which were the glass shower stalls.
That's a big one.
Oh my goodness. If you put them on some rollers, I go insane over the rollers.
You go insane.
I do.
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. The last one is storage. Again, think about people going through your home. And this does not apply only if you're selling, just in general. We hear more and more about create the environment that brings you peace and happiness.
That's it.
You do not want to open a cupboard and see things falling out. Take the time, whatever you're not using, put them in storage in the basement, in the garage.
Because you're going to be moving anyway, right?
Anyway, and even if you're not moving, just having your closet well organized will bring you a lot more contentment at home.
Yeah.
You won't be running away from home because it's too crazy there.
That's true. And one of the things that I picked up from Denise is make sure that you go through those closets and don't overstuff those closets, right? Because what you're telling somebody is that we do not have enough storage space. We have to keep everything in every single closet. So again, if you are selling, you're going to be moving these boxes. You're going to be moving last winter's, or maybe the winter before last winter's clothing out anyway. Go ahead and get that stuff packed up, because storage is one of those things where it may sound unsexy, but everybody looks for it because they have a lot of stuff.
That's true. And even in your closets, if you have your clothes filled, even though there might not be too much, still remove about 2/3 of it, and it shows off the space that you have in your closet. If
Yeah.
it's stuffed, again, people will just assume this house doesn't have enough space for my stuff.
Thin them out a little bit, right?
Yep.
You're going to
So
be moving
thin 'em out.
anyway.
Good idea.
Right. Well, these were 6, right?
6.
6 quick tips on just getting your house ready for the marketplace. As we mentioned, inventory is certainly rising. It's going up quite dramatically, actually, in our area in Northern Virginia right now. So it's going to become more and more competitive. There's certainly more buyers out looking. I think, we're starting to see that interest rates maybe be coming down just a little bit. There's definitely more buyers out during our open houses. We're getting much more activity than we did before. So these are 6 quick tips, easy tips, I think, that you can take. Get your house prepared before you put it on the market, because pricing and condition are the 2 factors that are incredibly important for a property and how well it's received when it first goes on the market.
So true. And we're going to ask you, if you like this content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you next week. Stay tuned. There's a lot more to come.
Bye.
Bye.